Hello, my friends. So today I am working on turkey. I mentioned last week that I had thawed out a turkey so that I could cook it up and preserve it. And I actually had a bunch of turkeys in my freezer. I mentioned that when I talked about doing an inventory of my freezer and what I need to pull out and start preserving. I bought several turkeys back during the holiday season. Back when they were all on sale at really good prices. Because during the holiday season, turkeys tend to go on pretty steep sales. And it's just a great opportunity that, as long as you've got room in your freezer to do it, to stock up on some fairly inexpensive protein that you can use to feed your family. Now, if you aren't very good at canning, or you are not too sure about it, or maybe don't have the ability to do pressure canning of meats, then you can always cook a turkey, and after it is cooked and cooled down, shred up the meat and freeze that meat in portions. That is something that I have done many times in the past, usually after Thanksgiving, because when it comes to Thanksgiving, I always buy the very biggest turkey that I can find, because I love to have those leftovers, not only for the next couple of days after Thanksgiving, but also for meals in the future.
Straight cruising, headed for a bruising, watching out for number one. You gotta slow down and look around you, son. Today is just today and not tomorrow. Where you're going, rest your head. Where you're going, brightness looks big. Where you're going, truth cannot be hid. You gotta get going. Easy now. You gotta get going. Easy now. Be hard working so you can be deserving of the rest that you are given. You gotta slow down and look around you, son. Give a lot and live a little. Work with what you got. Where you're going, you can rest your truth cannot be hidden. You gotta get going. Easy now. You gotta get going. Easy now.
Mornings here on the homestead are my absolute favorite. I love waking up to the smell of fresh brewed coffee. I always set my coffee maker the night before so that I don't have to do it in the morning, and I just wake to the fragrance of coffee wafting through the house. And I get up and then I sit down with a cup of coffee and I spend time in the Word. That is my morning routine. Then as the sun starts coming up, I go outside and do the chores, and I don't care if it's a lush green garden in the spring and summer or if it is a frost-kissed landscape. Winter, summer, spring, or fall, mornings here in the homestead are my favorite. So lately I've been getting a lot of questions about something that I have here in my kitchen, and that is my green glassware. Now I've got a few different pieces here that I use, and this green glass is called jadeite, if you're not familiar with that. And I just have a few pieces of it, but I do use them pretty regularly, and they are often seen in my videos, and every time I use one in one of my videos, I am asked about them, where I got them. Now back when I redid my kitchen and I installed a wall of cabinets, one of the things that I did was I added jadeite handles. Even though they're not actually antique, they're replicas, and they do have that vintage feeling to them, and it gives kind of a little bit of character to a wall of what would have been brand new cabinets. It has that kind of vintage feel and makes it feel like a big piece of furniture at the end of the room. And then I have the pieces that I use. I have a 1 cup liquid measuring cup. And it's kind of a neat little piece, as the measuring cup has 3 different spouts so that you can pour from any direction. The second piece is a 2 cup measuring cup, but on top of it, it has a juicer attachment. And I use this frequently to juice lemons or oranges or things like that for recipes that I'm doing. Now all of those pieces, with the exception of the cabinet handles, all came from antique stores around the area. I love visiting antique stores. I go to quite a few of them, and so that is where I picked up all of those pieces. Now the final piece, however, did not come from an antique store. It is an antique, however, and this actually is a batter bowl that belonged to my mother-in-law. And last year when I went up to Tennessee and saw family, and we were kind of, I was helping with the beginning of the process of preparing for the house to go on the market, and found this bowl tucked back in a cabinet, and I was very happy to be able to add it to my collection, and I think of my mother-in-law every time I use it. So those are the jadeite pieces that you see here in my kitchen, and that is where I got them all. So the turkeys that I'm roasting today are for that canning recipe, as I mentioned. Now normally when I roast a turkey to consume, like say for Thanksgiving, I would actually brine it for a day or two ahead of time, and it just makes the juiciest, most amazing turkey you have ever eaten. I have the recipe for that on my website. I will put a link to that down below if you would like to check that out, as well as how I roast my turkey. It takes much less time and ends up an extremely juicy and amazing turkey. And later in the month of March, I will be sharing the entire process of what I'm doing to make and can these turkeys. So you can check that out once it goes up. It's going to be part of the March Canning Madness collaboration. All through the month of March, there will be canning videos going up across the participating channels. And I have a video where I've already talked about this a little bit, and I'll talk about it again when it gets a little bit closer to that time. Now, something else that I wanted to mention is in the month of April, I have 2 events that I'm going to be going to. And I actually had a subscriber reach out and ask me about one of them to see if I was going to be there. And it is something that I had heard of in the past, but I had completely forgotten about. And that is the Antiques in the Garden Festival that takes place in Jemison, Alabama. There's a place down there called Petals from the Past, and they specialize in antique roses and just lovely things for your garden. And they host this festival. Now, this festival takes place on the 22nd and 23rd of April this year. And on the second day of it, there's actually going to be a meet and greet for several YouTube channels. And when my subscriber reached out to me and asked me if I was going to be there, I thought, you know what? That sounds fantastic. And so I went ahead and I signed up to attend. And so if you plan on attending the festival on the second day, the 23rd, I will be there. And so you can look for me there. Like I said, there's going to be several other channels. There's going to be Jason and Brooke from Cog Hill Farm. Haas Tools is going to be there. Cattywampus Acres. There's several other channels who are going to be there, and you can get all of the information about this festival on their website, and I will put a link to that down below. And then the following weekend is another conference, Homesteaders of America conference in Tennessee, just south of Nashville. This one's at Rory Feek's farm, just like the one that took place in January. And this one is geared towards people who are brand new to homesteading or want to get started homesteading. And I am going to be there. I'm not one of the speakers, but I am going to be volunteering to help out with the conference. And so if you are planning on attending, you can look to see me there. Now, if you are not a member of the Homesteaders of America website, I highly recommend it. It is a great resource for people who are wanting to learn more about the homesteading lifestyle. You can go back and watch all of the teaching sessions, the workshops, all of the speakers, and it goes back not just this past October, but there are several others available to watch as well. And additionally, there are discounts and perks to being a Homesteaders of America member. It's a really reasonable fee, and that is per household. So if you are interested in that, I have a link down below where you can click on that and become a member. So I am going to finish up here in the kitchen. We're just going to eat leftovers for dinner tonight. I made fajita flank steak in the Instant Pot, and so we've got some of that left over. And I like to do that on French fries with shredded cheese or put inside a baked potato. That's kind of my favorite thing to do with seasoned meats when you got leftovers, whether it's shredded barbecue chicken or fajita flake steak. So that is it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me here again in the Homestead Kitchen. My name is Constance at A Good Life Farm, and I'll talk to y'all next time.